checking that information, you see more information. So then you got to you start. It's, I had, I literally had 70 pages of notes on Moderna. I just had at some point to stop because they just, it's like, holy cow. If any one of us ran a small business or ran our own business the way that this company has been ran, we would be in trouble. I'm sure of it. It's almost like a Ponzi scheme, kind of. Let me get this investor's money and invest it in the company and promise this guy over here that we got this money and we're making this, but yet I'm going to uh, go over here and get this money from that guy. It's crazy. I'm sorry. Again, I'm off topic. I'm back on topic. So, yeah, we have this love triangle over this lipid nanoparticle delivery system between Arbutus, Aquidus, and Moderna. So it goes to court. And the court agreed and ruled in Arbutus's favor and issued a temporary injunction in 2017 that stopped Aquidus from further sub-licensing the lipid nanoparticle technology. Aquidus and Arbutus reached a settlement in 2018 that terminated Aquidus's license and restricted Moderna's use of the technology to 4 vaccine candidates that targeted already identified viruses. So that's crazy. Bansal granted Forbes an interview in 2017 and talked about the Aquidus/Arbutus issue and said that their system was barely mediocre. This is a direct quote, barely mediocre, and that Moderna was developing its own improved delivery system that would not infringe on Arbutus's intellectual property. And he was referring to the aforementioned N1GL and the V1GL systems. So once that interview was published, Arbutus's CEO challenged Moderna, stating that the company had reviewed all of Moderna's patents, publications, and presentations regarding these new delivery systems and found nothing that didn't involve their own intellectual property. And I just want to make a side comment here and say that what I found interesting is that Pfizer BioNTech also used major aspects of the same Arbutus derived technology, but BioNTech licensed the lipid nanoparticle technology in a way that avoids the issues that Moderna has been tangled up in. Also, besides using the same lipid nanoparticle delivery system, Moderna and Pfizer have Giuseppe Caramella, and I probably didn't say that right, in common as well. So, does it mean anything? Who knows? But the legal issues and the safety issues really put a strain on Moderna's ability to stay viable as a company. They had already been forced to settle on the vaccine market and reject the more lucrative and revolutionary mRNA therapies that it had been promising all of its investors and raising money on, those promises for years. The company, it was moving towards a position where it had no right to sell vaccine products that depended on the Arbutus patent and the Aquidus sub-licensed technology. Man, that is a mouthful. I could not say that 3 times. I couldn't even say that 1 time slow, much less 3 times fast. So Moderna, by this time, Moderna is like the Titanic. They are slowly sinking, and slinking. Freudian slip, maybe? Slinking, sinking, could be. So Moderna comes out and makes a claim that they had, quote, solved the scientific issues that made its earlier mRNA treatments too toxic for clinical trials, unquote. The media, love that media, reported that Moderna believes it had steered itself back on course. Dun, dun, dun. Did the company provide any documentation, presentations, or reports to back their claim? None that I could find, and none that I could find that had been reported by the media. I mean, they just jumped out, made this claim, jumped back in, and life goes on. So, but nevertheless, that promise allowed the company to successfully raise an additional 500 million from, quote, an investor syndicate uncommon in biotech, unquote. I'm going to say that again just because it sounds so, I don't know. I have this visual of a guy in an alley in a black coat, black glasses, and a black hat, and he opens up his overcoat, and there's like wads of cash hanging there. But yeah, that promise allowed the company to successfully raise an additional 500 million from, and I wish I had like doo-doo-doo-doo music, an investor syndicate uncommon in biotech, and doo-doo-doo-doo music. That included the governments of Singapore and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. Now, how in the heck did they do that? How did Moderna do that? And why would anyone, given the situation Moderna was in, give them $500, much less 500 million? Well, let me tell you. Stats reporter Damien Gard, this guy, he writes such good art. He gives you so much information to research, and he's very, very good. He published Moderna's confidential investor slideshow. How did he get it? We don't know. But kudos to Damien. So he published the investor slideshow, and in that slideshow, the company predicted that drugs that they had only been testing in mice would soon be worth billions, and that its vaccine revenue would amount to 15 billion annually. The claims were so absurd that a veteran biotech investor who spoke anonymously due to the slideshow's confidentiality said that it was geared towards unsophisticated investors and not veteran investors who know the industry. I mean, obviously, they went to Singapore and United Arab Emirates and to get money. In the slideshow, they also overpitched the revenue of their products. They claimed the proposed products would be worth billions annually, but the truth, based on the market, was closer to 100 to 250 million. Still a heck of a lot of money, but if you're investing 500 million, maybe not so much. On top of over-promising revenue on its proposed vaccines, they also promised that the company had solved the nanolipid particle toxicity issue. This was not true. In a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission that was dated November 2018, after they claimed to have fixed the nanoparticle issue, the company made several claims that appear to contradict its promise of development of a newer, safer technology. In the filing on page 33, they say the following, quote, most of our investigational medicines are formulated and administered in an LNP, lipid nanoparticle, which may lead to systemic side effects related to the components of the LNP, which may not have ever been tested in humans. While we have continued to optimize our LNPs, there can be no assurance that our LNPs will not have undesired effects. Our LNPs could contribute, in whole or in part, to one or more of the following: immune reactions, infusion reactions, complement reactions, opsonation reactions, antibody reactions including IgA, IgM, IgE, or IgG, or some combination thereof, or reactions to the PEG from some lipids, or PED, otherwise associated with the LNP. It also goes on to say certain aspects of our investigational medicines may induce immune reactions from either the mRNA or the lipid, as well as adverse reactions or the LNP, any of which could lead to significant adverse events in one or more of our clinical trials. Many of these types of side effects have been seen for legacy LNPs. There may be resulting uncertainty as to the underlying cause of any such adverse event, which would make it difficult to accurately predict side effects in future clinical trials and would result in significant delays in our programs. Unquote. So, I read it. I read that 3 times. They are admitting that, to me, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist. I have some education in pharmacology field, but they're almost admitting that anything could go wrong and it's not their fault. It just boggles the mind. But anyway, based on these statements, Moderna appears to be uncertain as to whether its current lipid nanoparticle delivery system was any safer than that which led to the indefinite delay of its Krigler-Najjar therapy. The November 2018 SEC filing makes other statements regarding its supposedly fixed nanoparticle delivery system that are worth mentioning. If significant adverse events or other side effects are observed in any of our current or future clinical trials, we may have difficulty recruiting trial participants to any of our clinical trials. Trial participants may withdraw from trials, or we may be required to abandon the trials or our development efforts of one or more development candidates or investigational medicines altogether. So even if the side effects do not preclude the drug from obtaining or maintaining marketing approval, unfavorable benefit-risk ratio may inhibit market acceptance of the approved product due to its tolerability versus other therapies. Any of these developments could materially harm our business, financial condition, and prospects. So what they're saying is significant in that public knowledge of its technology's persistent challenges would threaten its ability to attract trial participants, investors, and consumers. I mean, who's going to go volunteer to have that injected into them, knowing basically anything could go wrong? So about a month after this SEC filing, Moderna went public. Hours after going public, December 2018, the stock tumbled. A month after going public, the stock was still on a downhill slide. There were all these media reports out saying that after being a 9-year-old company, they still haven't proven their technology. They're still struggling to turn mRNA into drugs that could have repeated dosing. Investors at the 2019 JP Morgan Healthcare Conference voiced concerns that Moderna had not ruled out the lingering risks of mRNA. And I'm going to stop this episode there. This is probably, there's still enough here that's probably going to be 2 more episodes. But this was a lot to absorb. We aren't even close yet to the whole shenango. I don't even have a name for the whole mess with the COVID-19. I mean, this, just what we've talked about up till now, this company, no offense, Moderna, but y'all's a train wreck. Y'all are a train wreck. You are Snowpiercer. I'm just saying. But I'm going to end this here. I thank you for listening. I hope you come back for Moderna Part 3. I hope you have a blessed week. And I hope you stay healthy and are living your best life. Thank you.
You need no debating. If you want the facts and the real information. unbiased. This is what you want. This is under the COVID dome.